Hi, and welcome to another one of my live Snappy Chat, which I've been running for 2 years now, and I just love them because I get to talk to amazing business owners and learn about them and what they go through and how we can all learn and grow together. I'm Christine Bell, by the way. I'm a customer strategist, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to learn about Robert today. He's a fantastic producer, award-winning producer in Sydney that I've gotten to know in the last half year, I think, or so, and we'll learn a lot more about Robert shortly. So I started these conversations because it can get really lonely in business. But the fact is, we all go through similar challenges and we can all learn and grow together. So that's what it's all about for the next half hour. If you're joining us live, I'll try and keep an eye out for you in the comments. Otherwise, welcome to the replay. So Robert, it's so great to have you here. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. Please share a little bit more about yourself. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a very cold, wet day in Sydney, unusual for this time of year. As I was introduced, I'm Rob Schreiber. My company is Who's Elliot Media Productions, and we specialise in film and video productions, mainly for online marketing and television advertising. So
I love that.
welcome to everyone that's joining. I can see a few people have joined in. That's great.
Yeah, we got Royce here, Sarah, and Michael. I appreciate you guys. They're actually straight out of the US. So we got the US joining. They're always so good at joining over there in terms of live. So I really appreciate you guys. So thank you for being here, Rob. And yes, I met you about half a year ago, and I've loved getting to know you through the BX networking as well. But we're here to talk about you rather than that. So in terms of some of you work for yourself for how long now?
Well, I started in the industry 30 years ago as a technician. I was originally trained after university. I was trained at VidCom in New Zealand, actually. And there I was trained in all areas of production and post-production. And I was being groomed to be a director, to follow in my father's footsteps. My father had a very big commercial film company in New Zealand, and my mother was the producer. So a bit of history there. It's kind of a bit of a family thing, this business. My uncle was with CBS in New York for his entire career, and my nephew was with Television New Zealand for a long time. So it's a bit of a family trait. But after that, I specialised in sound. And followed that career path and went out and eventually became a sound mixer, recordist on feature films and high-end television commercials. And I think I recorded approximately about 65 feature films over that part of my career. And then decided to move into post-production with the advent of Pro Tools and non-linear editing and sound mixing. That also then moved into Apple when they brought out Final Cut Pro into editing. And with a little post-production facility that I originally set up called Visual Noise, that led me into more producing and back into directing, particularly starting off with directing ADR and actors' voiceovers, etc., and that side of things. And eventually, I think what happened was, the advent of some of the equipment becoming a bit cheaper and a bit more accessible. The camera guys started buying radio microphones. And so I turned around and went, well, if you guys are going to do sound, I'm going to start filming, and started my career path as a cinematographer.
Fair enough. If they go into your area, you should go into their area too, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. And eventually it's kind of led me to where I am today, where I have fortunately been lucky enough to have been trained in many disciplines within the industry, and which has also now opened up a lot of revenue streams. So in some cases I work purely as a cinematographer. Sometimes, as later today, after this, I'll be getting back into an edit where I'm purely working as an editor. I do sound design and mixing, and obviously, and then when the budgets are a little bit bigger, I move into purely a producing role.
Wonderful. So it sounds to me, and maybe this is something we should all learn from, especially in this day and age with the economy, etc., and building our own businesses, working for ourselves, working, owning a company, do you reckon it's important to become, not just be a specialist in one area? And I speak for myself as well here in terms of what I've learned. So I've had the same learning, or at least I've had this learning, that it's important to actually stretch our skills a little bit, especially when we are working for ourselves or in a company that we own.
I think it's imperative. I can tell you right now that having the skills that I have and that I've been taught and trained in over the years, when it comes to producing, it gives me a pretty big advantage because I know what people are doing on set. I know what their jobs are. And therefore, I can see if there's a struggle or there's something being held up. I can step in and perhaps I can help, or just kind of makes things run a bit smoother and be able to smooth over things with the clients if we start running a little bit behind, and being able to figure out ways of catching up if we do drop behind. So just having those extra skills really, really assists me on set when producing.
I love that, because that means you understand all parts of it. So even if you're doing a particular job, you can actually make sure that everything works together in harmony, which I love. What arc when it comes to film? I don't know what does Royce mean by that? What arc when it comes to film? I don't know if I understand that question.
What arc when it comes to film? Not too sure. If you're talking about genres, I've worked on a lot of different films, all the way through from kids' films with Christopher Lloyd, and is that right? Chris Lloyd, who was in the Back to the Future films. Some fun children's films with him, through to doing a kind of thriller thing with Cuba Gooding Jr. and a thriller with Ray Liotta. So those are just a few of the type of genres, but mainly thrillers and suspense kind of movies I've been on, mainly American, Australian co-pros.
Wonderful. So this is when you're in the big film set. And so I love that you have this broad skill. And it comes back to, there's a whole conversation around how much should we niche down versus how much should we be allowed to be a journalist sometimes, and having those different skills. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think there are a lot of people out there, and I had this discussion with another producer not so long ago, where we met. And he was like, hey, can I pop into the studio because I'd like to actually see what you've been doing? In other words, it was a test to see if I could actually do what I say I do, or whether I could do one thing well and kind of do the other things. So he was a little bit surprised that I brought him in, and I said, look, here's a Pro Tools session. Here's a Premiere Pro session. Here's the final products. Here's examples of my cinematography. And he's kind of went, wow, okay, you really can do everything. And he said it's really unusual. So I think it's important, if you can't do everything really well, then you shouldn't promote yourself as that, because you will be found out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of people, and particularly the younger ones, with the accessibility of the prosumer equipment now becoming reasonably good. Particular Sennheiser's just brought out a new one that I've actually purchased, which is a prosumer product. But wow, the actual quality of it is pretty good. I haven't tested it over long distances in the field, and we're talking about radio microphones. Yeah. So we'll be putting that to the test later this week, actually. But with that equipment and being out there, and it kind of makes it more accessible, simpler for people to pick up and say, oh, hey, yeah, I'm a cinematographer. Oh, yeah, hey, I'm a sound guy. Or, hey, I can do it all. And here we go. And also things like, I think Final Cut Pro, I'm not too sure. I think it's non-subscription still, because I do have it and I don't pay a subscription for it. So having all those free things, and particularly even iPhones, with the picture quality and video quality that you're getting from the iPhone 16, and other tools like the Osmo pockets that are out there, they do provide a lot of tools that do present a pretty good quality of image. But if you don't know how to compose a shot, you don't know how to light a shot or use natural lighting, and you don't understand the science of color when you're editing and things, then hey, well, you shouldn't be kind of promoting yourself as I can do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally hear you. And I think, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And I would love to hear one of the challenges you faced in business as well. But, there's you work both with big companies, but do you also work with smaller businesses these days because they are more likely to try and do things themselves?
Yes. So, and that's one of the things I like doing. And look, before COVID, I dealt mainly with advertising agencies, some bigger corporate clients like Oracle and Fujitsu, KPMG. But during COVID, there was a shift and a big shift for me as well. And I moved into joining networking groups and decided that let's take my skills, let's get into the market of helping small to medium sized businesses with their marketing funnels. So yeah, there's a big shift in that, and I am working a lot with those companies, and I enjoy that because quite often I can get in at the creative stage and come up with concepts and scripts, and then take the whole project all the way through to the end.
Yeah. And I think we could all use it because I'm doing my own little, own style videos, but, I don't know about lighting. I don't know about the right where to put myself with the noise and the mic and everything. There's so much that goes into it. I must admit, for me right now, it's a cheaper option, but I all think we can all aspire to having you actually help us do some really great videos that we can use again and again and again. That really brings our brand to life. And I just have a question, by the way. Sarah says, have you worked on documentary and nonfiction or only fiction?
No, I've worked on documentaries. There are a couple of teasers to documentaries on my website. So you
What's
can
your
pop
website?
into whoselliot.com.au, who's Elliot with 2 L's and 2 T's, and you can go to the documentary section.
Wonderful. And wonderful. And Royce is saying, are you worried about AI taking over?
Now, this is really good. Okay, so I've been using AI before ChatGPT. There was a online platform that was doing AI voices. So I was using the AI voices as guide tracks to videos and then once everyone was happy with the video, then we would get the proper voiceover recorded. AI at the moment, if you're not using it and you're not embracing it, you will fall behind. And I think that a lot of in some cases, some of the work will disappear within our industry, particularly with the digital clones or the digital avatars, particularly now that you can simply build your own avatar yourself, simply even by using your webcam. And the later ones like HeyGen, etc., will actually touch you up, make lighting look good, and do everything
We'll all
for
be
you.
supermodels.
So it's one thing, as soon as that came out, I got to go back to ChatGPT. As soon as that came out, I embraced it immediately. And particularly for ideation, coming up with creative concepts, helping me with scripting, helping me with interview questions if I was doing a customer testimonial or a case study. Not to use it as it came out from ChatGPT, but to keep on adding prompts in and then picking out the best bits and coming up with a script that really worked well. And there's an example of that on the website as well. It was a non-for-profit organization, and I just off the top of my head, I'll think about it and come back to that. But that's on there as well, and it was completely stock footage used with ChatGPT for the ideation and the script and AI voiceover.
Wow, thank you for sharing. And it may or may not lead into the next question in terms of what is one of the big challenges you are facing or have faced in building your own company?
I think that anyone that's been in the industry as long as I have, and we've watched particularly technology change very rapidly, the cost of the technology and the tools that we need come down in price, which has allowed accessibility to basically anyone that fancies themselves as a video producer to start creating videos. So that's definitely one of the challenges, because it's brought the overall budgets down quite a bit, and particularly in the small to medium size market. There's no question about that. Obviously, the bigger brands are still going through the agencies and still having bigger budgets, because they still need their brand to look good, sound good, and deliver a message. And that's kind of what is missing in that lower end market. And particularly when it comes to video marketing, I think one of the things that have been lacking over the last few years is video strategy or marketing strategy. And I think that's something that's coming back. I'm hearing that word used a lot over the last 6 months, which has been a real joy to me, because we've battled, even digital marketers saying to their clients, hey, just pick up your phone and shoot anything and shoot as often as you can. It's all about just getting stuff out there. But hey, guys, it's your brand. And if you want to, showcase your brand at that standard, that's probably what you'll always be.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Coming from starting in advertising myself, not as the creative, but as a strategist, I totally believe that we should all have a strategy behind our brand, and we should be intentional in what we put out. Having said that, I totally get it. Like, I would love to hire you, yeah, but in terms of not being able to afford that right now, what do we do in terms of, I put out videos of myself, yeah, and the quality is like this, yeah. I'll probably get away with it with a smile. But what would be your recommendation there when we can't, afford what you're doing? What do we do?
Look, I think that there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. I think probably getting yourself at least a entry level camera, to start with, and a microphone, a good microphone. And then just do a little course on YouTube, which they're all free, on lighting. So, I mean, look, if you look at my lighting right now, it's not particularly good, because behind me, I've got a nice key light coming in here. We've got a fill over here, but I don't have any backlight, and the backlight would separate me from the background. Your lighting, Christine, is not bad for what you've got there. You've got some light coming in from the outside.
I've got loom lights as well in front of me, 2 loom lights.
Yes, so you got a couple of lights there. So that's working, right? You could use with a bit more modeling on your face, and so one of those loom lights could be dimmed down a bit. But all of this is really easy to find, and a lot of this stuff is quite accessible, and cost effective as well. But just when you're buying lights, just look out for what they call a CRI rating, because a lot of these lights, and particularly the cheaper ones from China, can have a very green cast to them and make you look green, which isn't really what we want.
No, absolutely not. So thank you for sharing. So in terms of, where do you see your industry going? What does the future look like? And are we going to see more video marketing? I suspect we are, but what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think anyone that's in business now has to have video marketing. There's no question about that at all. I think AI is going to play a pivotal part in this, whether it's coming up with the concepts and the ideation, the scripts, and some of it using AI to actually create the videos. There's some wonderful tools out there. Midjourney is one of them, Hagen's another one, and I love these products. I'm using them more and more all the time, even for simple stuff. I saw an app the other day, I can't remember what it's called, but simply, if you've got a beautiful photo of your product, you can put it into the app and then choose a motion background to go with it, which then becomes your little Instagram pitch, rather than just a photo sitting there in a still format. It actually has motion behind it, which might draw someone's attention towards it.
So if you actually have a product, a proper product, yeah.
Yes, yeah. You can pop
Wonderful.
it in.
Yeah, wonderful.
Text to video still has a long way to go, so I wouldn't be using that as a marketing tool quite yet, but certainly fun to play around with.
Wonderful. So I also think, maybe just to hear your thoughts on this, whilst there has been disruption in the market for the last 5 years across the board, and in your industry and my industry as well, how do you see it in terms of the benefits, I guess, for smaller or medium-sized businesses? What are the benefits of this disruption? Because, in the old days, it was probably only the big companies really who could afford what you are doing, but now we can all play this game, yeah? Whether we do it well is a different matter.
Well, I think that, like, I had this question put to me the other day at a networking meeting when I was presenting, and the presentation was about video in your marketing funnel. And the question was exactly that. Do you think I should do my own videos, or do you think I need to get someone in professionally to do them? Now, it really depends on your brand and what your market is. If your market's on TikTok, then hey, you can easily really do that yourself, right? Also, once again, with that marketplace, it's a swiping thing, right? You've got to try and capture your audience within a couple of seconds, otherwise they're swiping past you. And there's tricks to that. Back in the early days of online marketing, when there was really only YouTube, and Facebook had just started doing some marketing. We used to call them bumper ads, and they were 6 seconds. And there's still the 6-second ad now. And we became the king of that, me and my previous business partner, David Jagoda. We became the kings of bumper ads because we could take a 30-second ad and we could cut together eye-catching 6-second ads, which got the brand in and the message in within that 6 seconds. And it's quite a challenge to do that.
Yes, 6 seconds, not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time, yes. And I mean, really, anything more than 15 seconds now, you're going to get lucky. Anyone to watch that. The attention span is so short now. So really, I'm trying to kind of get into more the 10-second kind of spots. And get your brand in there, your message in there, and a call to action in there.
And that's really where we want the key message, the call to action, and the brand needs to be visible, in some way and form.
Yeah, that's it. And
now, like me, sorry.
Yeah. So you need a, and if you think about it, and this is where composition and cinematography really comes into play, because a shot that's not well composed, the eye and your brain, just as human beings, will not want to look at it. And that's as simple as it can get. That's as simple as I can actually say it. If the shot is not well composed, the person will not want to look at it. But a beautifully composed shot, a well-lit shot, will draw the person's eye in. Same as a painting. Right? When you look at a painting, someone that's just started out and painted something, you kind of look at it and go, oh, that's, But when you see a beautiful masterpiece, you're just drawn into it and you want to look at it. And that's the same with cinematography and composition.
And so what are the sort of top rules for composition? If I'm doing my own videos because I can't afford you yet, what do I need to think about in the composition?
So there's lots of different rules, a lot of rules
that you have
to really follow. The rule of thirds is probably the very basic one. So a rule of thirds will split your screen up into rectangles, if you like. And then there's certain places on those where these lines intersect of where you should be putting an eye line, or the eye of the subject, or and it also will help you if you've got a product and you want to put that in there to draw people in. So obviously when you see shots and people's heads are like this, or they're way up here like this, or way over here, so those sorts of things are obviously bad composition.
So you need to be more in the middle. I need to get a little bit more in the middle here.
I think if you're presenting to camera, I think in the middle is a good place to be. And when you're cutting imagery together, if you're cutting images in, also remember that you want the person's eye line to stay in that middle. So if my face is here, when you cut the product in, the product should be there as well, and not over here, not up there, not down there.
Those are very good tips, very handy and practical tips that we don't always think about if we don't know what we don't know.
Yes, that's right. And this, all this it's all there to be learnt. It takes years when you get into the scenario when you're on set with a client and you've
Yeah.
got a schedule to adhere to. If you're not used to these things and haven't been practicing them or had
Yeah.
to use them in the past, it can become a bit overwhelming at times.
Yeah. So if small businesses or medium-sized businesses want to work more with you, how do they typically work with you, and what do you typically offer them? I'm conscious of time. I'm going to finish in the next 4 minutes. So I want to make sure that
Sure,
everyone can get a hold of you and they know what you can do for them as well, please. And if you have anything
sure.
to promote, feel free to do so too.
Great, great. Thank you. So, who's Elliot? We will help you from concept all the way through to planning, your scripting. Um, what we don't do is we don't work on strategy. I'm not a strategist, so if I needed strategy, I would then immediately call Christine because I know Christine has the experience to do that, and that would be my first port of call. Um, I can help you with obviously budgeting and come up with something that would suit your budget. Um, and you can either, as you know, you can either use me, look at the work that I've done, or we can bring in cinematographers. Quite happy to bring in a director if you have a idea and you feel that a particular director would be better suited to directing your piece. Quite happy to do that as well. But basically, all the way from your concept all the way through to the finished product is what we can offer, and we offer everything in between. So if you've been out shooting yourself but you're not sure how to edit, you can send me your footage, and I'll edit it for you. Or I can go out and shoot and give you the footage so that you can go and edit it. It's basically anything you want, just come. Now, what I do
Yeah.
have an offer is I am available to consult anyone for free. So
Oh,
just
wow.
send me a message. I'm happy to send you a link to my Calendly, and we can set up a Zoom meeting. And I'm happy to spend half an hour with you discussing what your requirements are, what I think it might cost you to do that, what you could achieve perhaps for the budget that you have on hand at the moment. I'm quite happy to talk about that for free.
That's wonderful. And you know what? I think, especially if we are a little bit on a tight budget, there are certain videos that are more pivotal to get done, right? There's some of the one that are really brand focused. I would reckon would be really important that we get them done beautifully because we're going to use them again and again and again. Would you agree that there's certain videos,
Yes,
if we can't afford it all, let's focus on the most important ones, right?
most important one, shoot it well and repurpose it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think people think I can't repurpose, but no one remembers squat from last month. Yeah, and big advertisers, they show you the same ad again and again and again for a reason. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
so we can actually remember, pick up what the brand is. So we see it once and we go, oh yeah, yeah, can't remember much. Then we see it again and then we pick up a bit more, and eventually we go, oh, that's Christine. Okay, that's what she's about. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So yeah, being
One.
out there, getting your brand out there, very important. Very, very important to have a strategy behind it. Very important to schedule your placement of everything, whether it's paid or organic. It's important to have that scheduling, have that scheduling correct as well. There are AI products that will do that for you, and you can tell them when to do it, when to put it out. I think Canva might even do that. I think CapCut does that. So you can actually have these tools. Actually, you can set up, say, when and how often, and they will put it out to all your social media channels for you.
Amazing stuff. Well, we're running out of time, so thank you so much for being on here, Rob. I really appreciate you teaching us all, and I think it's something we all need. It's just a matter of realizing that it's worth investing in and also finding the money for it sometimes, because I think there's definitely, even if you can't do all the videos for someone, you can definitely teach them a lot and give them, make sure that you do the most important ones for them, whatever part, but ideally all of it. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, Christine.
You're welcome, and thank you for everyone who showed up to see it as well and chip in. We really appreciate your time, and we're going to say goodbye now and get in touch with Robert, please. We got the
Yes.
LinkedIn to you as well, so people can reach out to you. And we got whoselliot.com.au, or was it whoselliot.com only on your website?
.com.au.
Perfect.
.com.au.
Thank you.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you